How's that? How's gonna win? That's delusional.
So, Pride Japan, you fought Michihiro Omigawa.
Yep.
Where does that fight rank in your eyes in terms of your career?
It's the #1 fight.
That's what I figured you'd say that.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, that and my third fight in UFC, those are kind of a tie, because the win in Pride was just everything. I mean, it was the typical Japan situation. Chris can completely you understand, and he'll vouch for this. I was up in Seattle, Washington. I flew back up there to hang out with some friends. I was living at that point. Let's see, I was in Florida. I was living in Florida, but I had gone up to visit some friends. There's this massive festival in Eastern Washington called the Apple Blossom Festival. So we went over to that, and dude, I'm over at the Apple Blossom Festival having a grand old time, like drinking, eating elephant ears at the carnival. Dude, just not thinking.
You're in the wet market. You're in the wet market looking for bats.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm just going nuts. And then the next day, that's like it was over the weekend. Then on Monday morning, I'm staying with Dennis Hallman. And then I hear the phone ringing at 5 o'clock in the morning or something. Ooh. And then Dennis Hallman throws the door open in my room, and he just throws a phone and it hits me. And then he just walks off. And because it's so early, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I just picked the phone up, and it's Liborio. It's Ricardo Liborio down in Florida. And he's so excited he can't even talk. And he's just, by the way, and I said, what the hell, what are you saying? And he just said, you're fighting in Pride, motherfucker. And I was like, what? Dude, I came out of a deep sleep real quick. I was like, what? What? I just sat up and grabbed the phone and said, what are you talking about? And he said, you're fighting in Pride. They called. We're going to Japan in 2 weeks. And I was like, nice. Yeah. So it went from, me partying and drinking beer and eating elephant ears to you got to lose, 15 or 20 pounds and fly to Japan in 2 weeks. Oof. So, I think it was actually 10 days. It wasn't even 2 weeks. It was 10 days. So, that's how I got found out I was going to do the fight. Was pretty much Liborio told me. I mean, I'm completely committed, but yeah, Liborio tells me I'm doing it. And, and what I remember distinctly too about, I get on the plane, I ended up having to fly over by myself. Liborio came later. I get on the plane, I get seated next to this little old Japanese lady. And as soon as she sits down next to me, she starts going, and I was like, oh no, she's sick. She's going to get me sick and I'm going to lose. So dude, I cover up with my blanket. I get a blanket and I cover my head under it for the entire 14-hour flight. Cause I'm like, I don't want to get sick.
They really never gave.
At what point, okay, so Liborio calls you and says you're fighting in Pride, you're happy now. At what point after that did you find out how much you were getting paid, and how much were you getting paid?
I didn't care.
Of course, I know you didn't. It's like he showed up in Japan, they gave him an envelope. He's like, oh, I forgot about this.
I get paid too.
Yeah, no, I was so amped that, I didn't even care. I mean, that was the highest that I had been paid to that point in my career. I mean, because, they paid more than UFC. That's why everybody wanted to fight there. But just that whole thing was just so surreal. And just the way that, like I said, I'm partying 10 days before the fight. I get the call. All of a sudden, my dream, just this thing that I always dream of in the back of my mind. It's like, hey, it's reality. Bang, bang, bang. Next thing I know, I'm getting ready to walk down to the ring. And I just remember thinking, I didn't get to train for this as well as I wanted. I know I'm not as in good a shape as I wanted to be in, but you know what? He is going to have to kill me to win. He is going to have to kill me to win, because I did not come all the way over here, and I have not been living my whole life up to this exact moment to lose. I'm not losing. I'm winning, or I'm going to die in the ring. That was my mindset. And I was just, so I guess that had something to do with why I got so tired, but I still found a way to win that fight.
Well, and let's also talk about how you won.
Yeah. Sometimes the story writes itself,
Yeah. How did you win that fight? I mean, you're in Japan, the mecca of MMA.
Tell it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so we're going back and forth. Now, this guy, I knew he had tremendous judo background, trained by Yoshida. He's super tough. And I'm like, but man, he's got a chin. I keep cracking this kid, and his hands are down, and it's bam, right across the jaw. This is like Little Mac, dude, from Mike Tyson's Punch Out. He's taking all the shots. I mean, it's he's got that Homer Simpson style where he's just you're getting tired of punching this guy. But man, I land some good shots on him. He's still there. And I am getting tired because we're 7 minutes in. At that point, Pride was doing those 10-minute first round, 5-minute second round fights. It's about 7 minutes in, and I throw this punch, and it kind of zings past him. It kind of misses him, and for whatever reason, the punch misses, but with my other hand, I grab the back of his head and I keep his head down, and then I do a switch step, like a kickboxing switch step. And I think he lost sight of my foot. And then so I'm holding his head down with one hand, and I let it up. And then as his head starts following up, I follow it up with my foot. And man, it was just picture perfect ending. I kick him right in the jawline. He just crumples to the mat. And that's not good enough for me. I mean, I just jump on him I'm trying to make sure this fight is definitely finished. The referee grabs me in a chokehold and is dragging me off. Man, it was just there's no way that fight could have been topped, really, in my mind. It could have been I guess a little bit more back and forth, because I was kind of laying waste to the guy. But I mean, as far as just picture perfect endings, I mean, there's nothing better, no better way for me to have won that fight in my mind.
And how many people were at that event? Do you remember? Was it one of the big ones, 30,000?
That was a smaller arena for Pride, but I mean, there were thousands. There was probably a solid, I don't know, 14,000 people or something. It was a big event.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, no. And that's kind of when you were a kid, you said, you're 12 years old going, that's what I want to do. If you're in the World Series, you got a bases loaded, bottom of the ninth home run to win. I mean, that's essentially what you did there.
I probably should have just retired from MMA at that point, man, because it couldn't have got any better in my mind.